Romans 13:7 in the New International Version. Give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Well, okay, that totally makes sense. I get that. Let's read what the King James says. Render therefore to all their dues. Tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to honor. So we can owe people fear. I owe Fred to fear him. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Let's take a look at a different passage in the New International Version. 1 Peter 3:15. But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to anyone who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Let's see what the King James has. But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks you for a reason of the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear. Really? So if somebody asks me why I'm a Christian, I'm supposed to be able to give them a reason, but when I give them that reason, I'm supposed to be afraid? Afraid that he's going to hit me? Afraid he's going to shoot me? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. What in the heck is going on here? Okay, so what's going on? Are the King James translators just idiots? Nope. There's more to the story. There's two types of translation philosophies. One's called formal, sometimes called literal, but that's really not correct because no translation is really literal. The other is called dynamic. What happened? Well, first of all, let me say that no translation is really all one or the other. They're all kind of a blend, but some are more one way and some are more the other way. The formal translation has what we called a concordant point of view. What that means is we talked how a Greek word, for that matter, an English word, can have multiple meanings. Like the word green, it can be a color. Or if I say Susie is green and I'm talking about her work, I'm saying that she's relatively new, that she's untrained. With concordant point of view, what they do is they always try to translate it the same way, unless they just literally can't, unless it just is impossible. So in this case, in the English case, they would always translate the word green. Where if you have a dynamic, in the case of Susie starting a job, they would say, oh, she's not green, she's inexperienced. So the NIV would say Susie's inexperienced. The King James would say Susie is green. Green, in that case, is an idiom. And idioms don't go well between languages. So if you use an idiom between the Greek and the English, the English user might very well get the wrong idea. And in this case, you can see that they would get the wrong idea. Because you think, God the Father, He wants us to fear Him if we read that word through the New Testament. Really? God the Father wants us to fear him, we get the wrong idea because they're using a concordant translation philosophy on that word. Where really, when you're talking about God the Father and for the saved, it should be respect. God doesn't want us to fear him. He wants us to respect him. Very different. Okay, so why do they do that? Why does the King James have a concordant point of view on this? Let's go back to Susie on her new job. We would translate that as, oh, Susie is inexperienced. However, what if you find out that Susie her new job is painting houses? Well, now she very well could be the color green. What happened? As a translator, I had to make a judgment call. I had to look at all the possible meanings of the word green, and by the context, choose which one I thought was best. And I could be wrong. Because I don't want to say it's quite as bad as speculating, but I'm looking at the context and I'm making a judgment call. The King James says, well, gee, we don't want to have judgment calls in here. We're just going to translate the word the same in every single case. That way there's no judgment calls. Okay. That works. But the problem is you might confuse people. And the problem with both ways of doing it is the people reading the version don't know what other possibilities there are. If you read the King James and you see the word fear, you don't know that that could be translated as respect. And if you read the NIV and you see the word respect, you don't know that that could be translated as fear. You don't know, either way, you don't know what your possibilities are. So you, by the way, on that fear, respect thing, some people, when they see the fear, instinctively know that it's talking about respect, but they kind of combine the two thoughts with the respect coming out of the fear. That's incorrect. They're two totally separate things. Just like with Susie and her new job. If we're saying she's inexperienced, that's got nothing to do with the color green. And if she's green, that's got nothing to do with her experience. They have two totally separate meanings and there's no blurring of them. It's not fear mixed with respect. It's either fear or respect. You have to choose one or the other. So, what does this mean? For the person that doesn't know Greek, what they really need to do is read multiple translations. Preferably one of the ones that are more formal, like the New King James or the King James or the ESL. And they should probably read one that's more dynamic, like the NIV. And it wouldn't hurt to read like the NET, because the Net Bible has a lot of notes, and a lot of times they will comment on your possible choices.